PvP post 7.0 is evolving, and we've brought on an expert, Kogass, to talk about it. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 424. And with me is my co-host, Seema. Hey, Seema, how's it going?
Hey, Max. It's actually going really well. It's almost getting a little bit of springtime weather, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, so in SWTOR news, I've been doing a lot of my normal stuff, conquests, galactic seasons, still leveling. I mean, I have so many characters, I'll be leveling them for quite a while. Messing around with trying to get the most rep I can for the Shadow Syndicate. But we did something tonight in our ops team that we haven't done in a while, which is we went and killed the Colossal Monolith on Zyos, and that was great fun. Recommend that fight if you haven't done it or had done it in a while. It has a little bit of meat to it, but not impossible, and yeah, it was fun. So, but I'm anxious to hear from our guest who's with us tonight, Kogass. Kogass, how has your week been?
Hi guys, my week's been fantastic. Let's see, we got May the 4th. We have Revenge of the 5th going on right now. I took one of my tests for my work. It's a securities industry essentials. Pretty big test for what I needed to do, and I ended up passing that.
Right. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So I'm happy, less stressed about that. Now I get to move on to the next test. So that's been a pretty happy week so far, and we're getting closer and closer to celebration, which I can't wait.
Excellent.
Are you gonna go?
Yeah, so you will be there?
Yes, I will be there.
Nice.
That's awesome. I will not be there this year. I'm a little sad about that. I was close to doing it. In fact, I had a hotel reserved, but ended up not. Some of my pals, my co-pilots who would have gone with me weren't able to go, so ended up stepping back. But I will go again. Hope they bring it back to Chicago too. That would be great. But that's excellent. In game, you've been PvPing, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
PvPing and streaming a lot. So if people don't know, Kogass is an excellent streamer. I see his streams going live all the time. He only streamed for like 2 or 3 hours today. He was saying, it was a short one. It was only about 3 hours. If you have not followed Kogass, Kogass on Twitch, you should definitely do that because it is a good time, and he is quite the expert on PvP, which is why we've got him on today. Which leads to what I've been doing, which is a little bit of PvP. Now, I never do ranked, but I do unranked, especially when it comes up in a galactic season objective. I PvP mostly. If I'm going to do unranked PvP, I mostly do it on my Sork, and I'm mostly doing that as Madness lately. And that's working out pretty well. I've got my gear score up to about 326 in general on my Sork across the board. And I've got the legendary implants and, casual unranked. I can often, top the DPS chart on my Madness Sork. Not all the time, certainly. I mean, there's some really good classes that can blow it out of the water and do double the amount of damage that's even possible for me. But in general, in the off casual matches, I'm up there high enough that I'm satisfied with where it's at. That's for my Sork. We'll get into this for what else they need to do to get PvP off the ground. But my Arsenal Merc, nah. But that's a different story. But yeah, so that's that. Let's hear about what else has been going on in the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So, of course, it is May the 4th, and there's been so much fun stuff going on this week. We've had the game deals that were going on. We had what did they call it? The sale in Steam, which I could not find. Could you either of you find this, the Jedi bundle and the Sith bundle as Steam sales 40% off on Steam?
I did not, but I looked
I did not.
before May the 4th, so maybe I'll look again.
I looked this morning to double check, and I could not find them. There's a Galactic Leisure bundle. Yeah, so I found the Galactic Leisure bundle, but those other two bundles, I mean, it's like a deco amount and a pet and an armor set, which is fine. But regardless, we all got our P1-XL droids, which is that cool hovering flying box droid. You'll have to pull yours out here, Seema, so we can see it on stream.
I do have it out.
Do you? Where
Yep,
is
it's
it?
right in front
Why
of
not?
you.
I do not see it. He's stealthed to me. I'll pull mine out in a second. We can play with it. I did see something really cool, and you guys can look it up on Twitter. The designer who designed that piece of art, that droid, also oh, there it is. It popped up. Also
Yeah, I resummoned him.
3D printed it. So I love that idea. I want to get a 3D printer just so I can 3D print these kinds of droid models and like our astromech model that we created. So that's very cool. What else? What else is going on in the news, Seema?
So we got some news about what BioWare and Star Wars: The Old Republic in specific is going to be doing at Celebration this year. They're going to be sharing a booth with Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes, which is another EA Star Wars game. They're going to be at their booth, and Charles is going to be there, as well as Ashley Rule, who's a cinematic director, Jackie Coe, who we know, community manager, and Fred Newman. So there's going to be opportunities throughout today for people to talk to them. This is sort of to take the place of a cantina where you get to talk to the devs and stuff. So
yeah,
instead you'll be doing it in this booth. There's also they mentioned a poster signing, so I don't know what that's going to be. So if someone is going to
They got to
Star
give us
Wars,
posters.
yeah, and then sign them. Yeah.
And then sign them. That's even better.
Yeah. And apparently they're talking with the Galaxy of Heroes people about bringing Malgus into that game, which I don't know how they're going to do that, because I think Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes takes place in the time of the Skywalker saga, but I don't know.
No. So I think that'll work just fine. So the way Galaxy of Heroes works is it's kind of a card, almost like a card-based game. You get little characters as cards, and then you assemble your little team of 5 of them to go and do a battle against another team of 5 characters, either NPC or I think you can do it against people.
Right,
So
but all the characters are
modern era.
from,
But
Yeah.
I think they could just add whatever, because there's no like narrative associated with it. So,
Gotcha.
I think
Okay.
they could just do whatever they do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, Malgus is a good place to start.
That
Um,
and I mean it's not. It doesn't make it canon by any means, but it did make me, because it's just a game, and the same as Star Wars: The Old Republic is just a game, but with the mixing and the more of the, I really like the idea of getting more of the Old Republic characters out there in more places. I think it just gets them closer and closer and closer to be the opportunity for them to be canon, and then to show up maybe in some of the, some new media somewhere. Let's get some movies. Let's get a TV show. Let's get an Old Republic Disney series. I think that'd be great.
Before we leave this topic, though, Charles is also going to be on a panel that you can go and attend if you're there, which is called A Crash Course into the Old Republic. So I imagine that he's going to talk about the story of the Old Republic.
Yes. That, and if you haven't heard Charles talk, it's fun. So I'd recommend that. I'm sure you're going to go check that out, Kogass.
And then I wonder if
Oh,
he's going to
absolutely.
have some new cosplay that we've seen before from him.
Do either of you know about the book of the Star Wars: The Old Republic Encyclopedia?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a hard copy. I was able to get a copy of it about a year and a half ago. Doesn't have the cover for it, but um for the price I couldn't pass it up. So I might take that in there to get that signed by him because he did help write that book.
That's
That
So
would be
it's got
awesome.
yeah.
so it's actually right behind me. You guys want to see it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
that's a cool
do.
asset. And a great thing to have um when you're going to go and get something signed at any point in time, having something, the signature is fine, having something cool that you got signed I think is even better. Like a like a original collector's edition, or a book like that, or a poster. The posters tend to work really well because then you have the opportunity to hang up a signature. So I like it when people go and get something cool signed, or like my chest. You know, I just rip open my shirt and I say, Charles, sign away.
I would.
That's so Max.
All right. That is so nice.
Wait, hold it up again. There we go.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
with
it's a
the
little
iconic.
beat up, but
No,
absolutely.
you know, it's such a cool thing. It's
Yeah. Just
I've got
don't
my
want you to take
collector's
too much
edition
time with
box
that.
on the shelf behind me. I could bring that next time. You can see right over my shoulder there. You can see Malgus on the front of the box, a little bit out of focus. Um, cool. So that's Star Wars Celebration. We're looking forward to that. I think it should be really cool. And yeah, now I'm extra sad that I'm missing it. One thing I did not miss uh, is we did get a patch this week, and we needed it. It was just a little this little patch, 7.0.2a, where they fixed a couple things that broke is that were especially problematic for people that were doing vet mode content, which was when bosses were supposed to be switching targets, they were switching to the wrong targets, which is problematic when you're counting on where a bunch of damage is going to go out. So they fixed that. They tried to fix it last week on the fly. They tried to throw in a hot fix, and it broke other things, so they had to back that right back out. It broke dot spread, and it broke some other stuff. So now it's fixed. That's what, if you haven't started the game yet today, that's the little patch that popped up. Couple other minor things in here. Panel of the Hypercrate cartel packs now correctly shows that it comes with 30 packs instead of 10, and a pop-up error message is now displayed on the character creation page when the name is unavailable. All right, not very interesting, but so that is that. How about guild news, Seema? Do we got anything going on besides our usual fun stuff? Do we have any shout outs that people need to team fill-ins? I don't remember.
So we are doing the Master Mode flashpoints that Meilong is doing, so that should be tomorrow night, first Friday of the month.
First
And I
Fridays in
believe
perpetuity at this point. And so yeah, by the time you hear the sound of this voice, the sound of my voice, if you're downloading this recording later, it might be just about to start, or it might have already gone on. But first Friday every month, we're gonna have the Flashpoint night.
yes. And our team, Where's the Cantina, I believe is still looking for a DPS person. But if I'm behind on that and they've already filled that, it's still worth checking into, because most of the teams, and we have teams that are running almost every night, most of the teams will need an alt a lot of the time. So check it out.
Yep. Yeah. All the time. We even pull them in on our Thursday night, and we've got about 5 teams running now. So check it out. It's a fun thing to do. AIE-guild.org. Our Discord link is in the upper right, and you can jump in there. We've got a few SWTOR channels and a guild on both the Republic and the Imperial side, and ops teams running on both. So jump in. But yeah, so that is awesome. You know what else is awesome is the chat room. They got some extra behind the scenes work as we're hashing through some technical difficulties today. Podcasting is a complicated profession, and so we were working through that. But shout out to the chat room. Thanks all of you for being there for us and for helping us get that straight and for making things sound good when we ask, can you hear Seema say doot and whatnot? So that is good. PvP has been on fire, hasn't it?
En
What would
fuego.
Malgus say?
Power will be yours if you are willing to burn.
Yes. Are you? Kogass is willing to burn. I would say so. There's that. So I'll kick it off, but most of this is going to be us asking Kogass tons of questions. We asked a couple on the pre-show that we'll repeat, but season 14 is wrapped up. Season 15 is not here yet. We're in the 7.0 era, and with the expansion of content and levels and abilities, a few things need to happen before PvP can really settle down enough to start a season. So that's sort of in the interim stage that we're in right now. While that's been going
Yes.
on, some strange things are afoot. So we wanted to bring on Kogass, especially as we got to 7.0.2, which I don't think we're all the way there yet, but we hoped that was going to get us closer to what we need, to where we need to be, and maybe it's one baby step, but I think we need to get further, don't we? So kick us off with let's start with the end of season 14, Kogass, and where that was at, and what your thoughts are there, and how that wrapped up.
Oh man, season 14. I before we started the podcast, he asked me to define it in one word. That word was chaotic, unfortunately. To me, season 14 was probably the worst ranked PvP season the game's ever had. There was coming out of season 13 was fantastic. Season 13, lots of games, lots of people playing. The devs had taken care of toxic players, win trading. During the season, there was a lot of discipline happening during the season, and that's been happening consistently since season 10. So coming into season 14, what ended up happening was during the preseason, they took out 4 maps total, right? Both Vanden and Queshball were taken out of the regs rotation, as well as Orbital Station and Mandalorian Battle Ring. They were having issues with the vertical aspects and people desyncing and not being able to see the enemies. A lot of players were taking advantage of that, so they took them out. My thing was that in a map pool where you only have about 8 maps, taking 2 out's a big deal, especially when your class or the type of playstyle that you have really relies on that vertical aspect of it. As a first target, I don't even want to say as a Juggernaut, but as a first target, you need an ability to hide and to hide and run away.
Yeah.
When you're flat in a plain field, that's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard for you to run away in, say, Corellia Square. In Tatooine, kind of learned how to do that. But if you have a 55 win percent in one map and say a 45 win percent in a different map, you're like, well, you're kind of 50-50. It's not a big deal. But if you're playing competitively, that's a huge deal. That's a 10% difference in your win percentages.
Right. Okay.
And so what ends up happening is, as a primary target, you're able to start using these maps to your advantage. You're able to do more. Force push is your best friend in Orbital Station by far. You can knock somebody off, and that essentially, if you're on the top row, if all 8 players were on top, you force push one off. You've turned this into a 3v4 for about 8 to 10 seconds. That's 6 GCDs. That's a lot of things. There's a lot you can do in that time frame.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do was to force push somebody off, keep an eye on them, see where they were going. They would come up the ramp, and then I would awe them. So if you're force pushing, that's a second and a half plus however much airtime they have. So if they have a lot of airtime, that could add up to that could total about 2.5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. And then they have to situate themselves. They have to figure out how to get back up. If they're a merc, they're going to pop hydraulics. They're going to try to get up the ramp. It's still going to take them about 4 to 5 seconds. At the top of that ramp, I hit them with an awe. Nobody else touches them. That's another 6 seconds that they're out of that match. So that adds up to a good fair amount. And if they're a healer or a tank, that really helps out your team a lot in getting that win and getting the first person killed, making somebody use their DCDs. There's a lot going on that you can do in that time frame. So taking those 2 maps out before the season started, I felt was a pretty big mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, or
So that
as you
kind
said, chaos. It just really changes it changes things too much, and without it changes the meta. So you're
absolutely
gonna like break a bunch of classes. You're gonna break a bunch of strategies. You're gonna break the way some teams play. And it's a shame then if there's not enough time to fix that and react. Yeah, it's gonna throw things off. Uh, do you always play the same class every season? Do you always focus on a particular class for your competitive matches, or do you rotate around depending on what sort of like the flavor of the month is, or how does that work for you?
I've been a Juggernaut through and through since the game launched. My first
Okay.
tune was Kogass, Kogas. He has been since renamed to Sharkbait Uhaha as my main. I always have I have a strange sentimental attachment to him. I did the original story through him. I've done a lot of my nightmare rating progression with him, and I ended up getting top 3 season 9 with him. So he's got a lot. Like if I were to be like, if I were to be role playing and get the game, I'd be like, this is my tune. This is me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And
um,
that's
I
kind of
play
how
that
I would
guy.
do it. I wouldn't change characters a lot. What do you think PvPers in general, competitive PvPers, do they in general? How many of them would you say do change characters season to season to be on
A lot.
what's that? A little or a lot?
Yeah, a lot of them do. It really depends on their playstyle. The classes that have been strong in season 12 have been strong in through season 14. The meta hasn't really changed too much since
Okay.
6.0, and those class are in 6.0. So 6.0 was season 12, 13, and 14. So that was essentially 3 seasons that meta didn't really change for a lot of classes. It did for Juggernaut because we ended up using Forcebound, which didn't come into rotation from Kai Zyken until about 6 months into season 12. If you ever run into a Juggernaut that got gold in season 12, they are probably one of the best Juggernauts in the game because it was extremely difficult to do that
Sure.
for that class for that reason. They didn't get Forcebound and they didn't get Grit Teeth. Grit Teeth was the biggest DCD that you could have because your enraged defense went from a 1.5 minute cooldown 45 seconds essentially,
Yeah.
because every time you got hit after it was used, it would reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds, and it could only happen once every once every 2 seconds. And then once you used it, so your enraged defense became your first primary defensive cooldown, so that you could get a second or third one off, and then you could use Forcebound to mitigate a lot of damage outgoing. People would also use Nimble Master the Kite to kind of
Sure.
get that, to buy themselves some time. That one had its pros and cons. A little bit more pros for other people than for me. But I saw a lot of people running that, but that didn't come in until about halfway through the season for Juggernaut and Guardians.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So season 13, we had that right off the bat. We had the full map pool. The devs were still really strongly tied into what was going on with games, so they still took actions. And so season 13 was flourishing for me. I loved it. It was a fantastic season. I did do well, and I enjoyed PvPing when I could during that season.
Yeah. Okay.
And
But-
then
But season 14, especially
go
with
ahead.
things changing in the middle, that's where you're going to get the chaos. And that's why it's so important to have that interim phase between the seasons, and in theory, get everything sort of stable and set and balanced and in a known state, so that as the next season starts, things are in a known state. But if you've got, as you said, armor sets and set bonuses and tacticals that aren't even showing up until halfway through the season, and you don't even know where the balance is going to end up, that's a tough spot. So
right. And then season 14 happened, and they had, that happened. They brought the maps back in during the middle of the season. There was rampant cheating and win trading happening throughout the entire season. It took a lot of complaints for something to actually happen, and if it would happen, it would happen for about a week. There was a really hard in season 13. There was the inability to queue. If they found that you abused something in ranked PvP, they told you, what, we found that you did something messed up, so we're going to take away your ability to queue for ranked PvP. I thought that was a fantastic solution.
Yeah.
Got rid of toxic players, and they were still able to play the game. They just couldn't ruin ranked PvP for 7 other people, or 6 other people, or 5 other people, depending on how many of them were win trading. I queued into everything. I was streaming. It comes with the territory of being a streamer, is that people are going to watch stream, and they're obviously there's going to be people who watch to stream snipe, and that's part of the challenge for me. I don't mind that at all.
Sure.
I can't be upset about it if I'm putting it out there. So
people coming for you because you're known or because you're streaming, that's fine. Stream sniping is less of an issue in SWTOR, because you're not like hiding someplace on a map with a sniper rifle, and like in the Call of Duty or something, where people are going to be able to see you and find you.
Yeah.
You're
So
a Juggernaut,
after
so you're
that-
right out there in the middle all the time anyway. So it's
Yeah, I can't hide. I'm first target. Best thing I can do is hold up in the spawn point, and hopefully that people don't get me kicked out of the match, which has happened.
I'm the
plenty
one
of
who goes
times.
off and hides in corners and heals myself up, and then puts my my teleport down in some location where on the other side of a wall or something, and pops all over the place as much as I can to try to stay alive 2 seconds longer. Keep those juggernauts from smashing on top of me. So yeah, that makes sense. All right, so that's season 14. Season 14 wrapped up. We're now in the 7.0 era. If a season started right now, it would be chaos. I think that's for sure. How have you been playing ranked matches for fun right now, even outside of a season? Or are you playing unranked, or what are you playing lately?
So, season 14 ended, and even with the bigger kerfunkle, I can't really jump over the top 3s that were handed out to.
Yeah, the top 96
I don't know.
and the top 3 issues. So yeah, here's another. Well, okay, let's get all of it
Oh,
on the
man,
table, and then
that's-
we'll get to the fun of building things back up for the future. But so that was a little bit.
But
of
yeah,
an
these
issue.
are
And that's still in the dev
top
tracker this
3s.
week. So yeah.
Yeah. So top 3s were issued, and people who had one ranked game, and because they had that one ranked game, and others who did not qualify in the team rank, they didn't say they had 150 wins instead of the 160 requirement, but they were still top 3. They passed up, and this person who had 1 win in team ranked and was playing a lot in solo ranks ended up with a 1,000 rating in solo rank, but because he had that 1 win in team ranked, he ended up getting a top 3 title. And a lot of people would say, that's, I would rather not see somebody get a top 3 title than somebody who got one from a default like that. And I think that top 3 have caused more issues than probably what they're worth. So I would say, what, let's just call it a day with top 3s and move on.
Yeah. Do away with it.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this. I agree in that if you were going to do anything like that, if you're going to try to say who's the best, who are the top 3, or the kind of controls that you would need to put into the system to ensure that whatever decision, whatever reward went out was so rock solid of a decision that no one could ever debate or get hurt over it, or feel that it was unfair. The kind of controls are just insane. for them in this case, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. They wanted to fill in, they wanted 96 rewards to go out. The way that they
Hmm.
decided to solve it, though, I don't think was great. And I agree with you. They just should have left some gaps. I mean, if there wasn't enough qualifications and things didn't work out as exactly the way they wanted, then don't do it. You got a couple NAs, you got a couple no shows, and I think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
So
So that was its own kerfunkel, as we can put it. But so yeah, it was a rough season because there wasn't a lot of action taken during the season. Maps were missing. Toxicity was able to just kind of run rampant, and then we had the top 96. The season lasted about 11 months. Previously, they had said, you know what, when season 10 started, I believe they were saying they wanted seasons to last 4 to 6 months. That didn't happen, but if you know what, if they would have waited for those other apps to come out or be fixed with desync, then we would have been all right. With the time frame of it, I don't see a reason to keep a long time between seasons, especially when there's an expansion between the two. There's definitely a lot of bugs to deal with, a lot of things to see. Gives people time to unwind, gives people time to just relax out of the season. For myself, I'm playing Rex. I did play ranked. I was able to play ranked between season 13 or season 14 and now. Because it is a good time to queue ranked when you don't know what the meta is, when you have new class balances. People are going to be trying new things out. There's no really rating to go for.
Yeah.
So rating's not an issue. So the toxic players are getting mad, or players get toxic because if you don't know what you're doing and you end up messing up the game, you ruin somebody's rating. Well, if they don't have that rating, then you're not really destroying anything because there's nothing there to destroy.
right. No,
So
I
I
mean,
was able to queue up for a bit. It doesn't really pop on SWTOR. It does pop quite often on Starforge right now. So if you're wanting to get into ranked PvP, give it a shot on Starforge.
oh, that's
Definitely
good to
make
know.
sure you do some research on it, because it does pop. People are able to stream it. SWTOR, it's a hit or miss. Usually when the players are able to get it pop, it's when I'm at work, so I'm not able to actually do that. But the class balance changes are been, for the Juggernaut at least, absolutely amazing. This expansion, I was terrified about how the Juggernauts were going to be, but the class changes have made this class a lot of fun in PvP.
Okay. Let's talk about this for a second. Because this is a hot button for me. One of the key things that needs to happen to make a season less chaotic and to get everything worked out and to understand the meta is class balance. I I PvP on my Madness Sork, and it's not too bad. It's sort of middle of the pack and the kind of the damage that it can go out. And that's fine. I don't need to be at the top of the pack. But the difference between the top of the pack and the middle of the pack right now is huge. The top deep, the top parsing specs can be 10 to 15% higher damage over the middle of the pack. So that's not great. That's going to have to be tuned up a little bit. The bigger problem is my main class for PvE, which I think pretty soon, because it hasn't been tuned up, and I was hoping in even 7.0.2 that it would have been, and it's not, is Arsenal. Arsenal Merc. It's in a terrible spot. It's way down at the bottom. So the difference between the top parsing specs in Arsenal Merc, which is at the lowest, if you look on parsley.io, is 25% of these are top players, top parsing, 25% difference in damage. So I can't PvP on my Arsenal. I can't do anything. I can, and we're doing fine. I mean, we're just doing story mode operations still right now. We're just getting into hard mode. I've been slowly switching over, and I've been converting my Merc because my secondary style is Vanguard. I'm gonna go Plasma Tech because then I'll be fine. I could PvP with Plasma Tech. It's fine. You can do quite a bit of damage there, and you can do quite a bit of damage in PvE. But look what they've done to my boy. My Arsenal Merc is in the dumps, man. So I mean, what's your view of what has to be done for class balance? I think a significant amount of class balance is going to happen. I think some people are going to be upset when their Marauders get nerfed, but you know, where do you think?
Oh, we can only hope.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's got to be a top of the pack and there's got to be a bottom of the pack. Rage Juggernaut, Hatred Assassins were definitely bottom of the packs during 6.0 era. You know, if somebody took a Hatred Sin into a ranked PvP match, oh, I feel sorry for them because they would be first targeted. The team would be upset. It just wasn't a very strong class. Same thing, somewhat same thing with the Rage Juggernaut. I ended up being able to place silver with the Rage Juggernaut. It wasn't necessarily easy. It's got a different play style to
Sure.
it. But as far as Arsenal Nerk, I'm not too sure, you know, how everything works out for them. You know, the defensive cooldown rotation, what you need to do in order for that. Do you have to take rocket outs instead of something else? You know, how is your nets going to be coming into play? Do you just, you know, because they were meat shields. Mercs and Mandos were big meat shields in 6.0, and they were able to take a lot of damage and rotate the DCDs for a long time.
Yep.
In PvP. So if I'm not too sure what they did to your class, if you want to share a little bit more.
I mean, it's just the nerf of the
that.
damage, and then some of those trade offs of the defensives. So having a little bit of trade offs of the defensives, and then doing no damage. Nobody's gonna want that around, and gonna be happy that a Arsenal Mark is showing up. IO is slightly better, but only slightly. It's all just down at the bottom of the pack. I don't know, Les. I actually don't know for ranked. There could be a use, and I would imagine as a healer class, there potentially has some use. But even then, I would say it's probably the least preferred of the three healers in a ranked team, in a group ranked. Would you say? Between an operative,
so much,
a Sork, and a Merc?
Operatives have been pretty much the least wanted healers. They're
really?
pretty squishy. They're not. They do decent heals, but they have to be AOE heals.
Yeah.
Merc,
A lot of AOEs and a lot
has
of
been really single target
dots. Yeah.
But
Or hots.
yeah, I haven't seen too many healer matches to really say what exactly is best. I do know that all the healing classes feel like they've been hurting. I mean, even at 6.0, they felt like people were saying they were hurting. So the
Seema, how's it
preferred
feel to
healer
you
class,
in ranked?
Yeah. Oh, the countless hours I spend in ranked PvP have just been, you know, fine.
every single ranked PvP match season, Seema's been hardly able to get off
Yeah.
from any heals at all.
Right. I mean, 100% of my ranked PvP matches.
Yes. Works every time, 0% of the time. Yeah. Okay. So they're going to have to do class balance, in theory. And maybe they won't.
in theory, I mean, I would expect the class balances to happen in 7.2. So with the change and the drop in, they changed both. They made Force Bound obsolete in level 80, and they got rid of Grit Teeth, which were both the set piece bonuses for us as Juggernaut. So we kind of had to go into Cut to Pieces was the next thing for Vengeance and Juggernaut, but they actually changed the class a lot around, and I was initially terrified of the class changes for Juggernaut, but they added one of these abilities. It's the Bloodbound, and essentially critically hitting with a bleed effect. I'm reading it straight off of here.
Sure.
Reduces cooldown of your blood rage by 1 second. Blood rage is your new rage. So it also purges movement impairing effects and heals you for 2% of maximum health for each bleed effect it triggers, up to 20%. So that is absolutely beautiful in a ranked PvP match. if you're hitting more than one target in any game, it's going to be fantastic. On top of that, you have your which one is it? Your champion precision package for your set piece bonus. Activating Enrage, Blood Rage, or Threatening Scream grant champions precision, increasing your critical hit chance by 20%. So that means that each one of your burns, each one of your dots on a target has a chance to crit for 8 seconds on the main target, on any target that you hit. So as soon as you're able to get a dot spread out, so you have to get all 3 dots out, then you have to get a smash out. But once you get those abilities done, it's a bit of a wind up. Then you hit that blood rage. That blood rage is going to instantly reset your vengeful slam, and because of how those two are working, your vengeful slam and those dots are going to be slowing that, bringing your blood rage off of cooldown even faster. And that blood rage is going to be a mini heal, so it becomes a very good offensive and defensive cooldown at the same time in any PvP match. And so as a Juggernaut, these are absolutely 2 essential things that you need. If you're playing Vengeance, it's going to help you so much. You're going to stay alive a lot longer, and it puts the Juggernaut in a very, very strong spot in any PvP match, essentially, except for 1v1 scenarios. The more targets you have, the better. The more they attack, the better. There's been plenty of Jugs out there that have been able to get 24 to 28k DPS in a match. And I have a Vari Coast that lasted like 18 minutes where I hit consistent 21k DPS, and I even died twice.
Yeah, okay.
So I love where the Juggernaut's at compared to where it was last expansion even.
I think there was a lot of trepidation in the way all the classes were sort of being rebalanced, and the way that the new styles were being laid out. And I don't think very much at all that much of the angst was realized. I think things have been sort of working out okay. I think there's more balance that has to go on, but here's an example where it could have gone bad, but it seems like they did some good things and they put some good pieces together, and there's a foundation there that, again, as long as they can continue to work on balance and bring down the extremely OP broken parts of a couple classes and bring up the arsenal mark, then I think we'll be okay. All right. So once they get past that, say things settle down. Is there anything else you would want to see, like more maps or something before season 15 starts? Or can we start season 15 and add that as things go? Where do you see in terms of content for PvP right now where that needs to be?
So for content in PvP, they need to make sure before they even start the season, bolster and augments need to be fixed. Those two things have been broken since 7.0 dropped. When 7.0 dropped, you're actually best in slot gear with 306 gear. Loved it. It was beautiful. I got in there and I was able to be top DPS. The only thing I started upgrading were my implants for my set piece bonus. Yeah. So that was a great bug to have. Kind of liked it more than what we have right now, which is augments aren't working, and if you are above 326 gear, then you're still going to have that 326 that rating on your gear. If you have 328 or 330, that's going to stick with you persistent through PvP. So those two things, if they say they want to cap us at 326, they need to cap it at 326 stats and make sure our augments are working. Yeah. Those need to happen before the season starts, before they even think about it. As far as getting new maps, sure, I would love a new map. I'm not going to complain, but at the same time, with how PvP has been going and everything they've been trying to be working on, I don't think that a new map is going to be on board before the season starts. And I'm okay with that. As long as they get things fixed, as long as they get the system implemented. Something I would love to see before they start the season would be rating decay. Um, Rating decay has never been a thing in SWTOR, but I feel like rating decay would be solving a lot of issues that the devs would be having. You know, if people were going for top 3 or people were going for whatever rating they had, they play a lot at the beginning of the season, get to where they want to be, and then they just sit there. They don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, in fact, I saw some of
So
that in the discussion threads that was going on, and I was a little dismayed. I mean, it potentially fine, but even some of the people that were in the top 96 were saying, "Oh yeah, I played the first half of the season. I got where I got my rating where I wanted it, and I unsubbed."
mhm.
It's like, I mean, is that really how that should work? As opposed to somebody who's like in there,
Doing the
make
grind.
doing the grind, making the game healthy as a result, and a especially if you're going to be like a top player, be a player. Then, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
I agree. I'm on
but
board with rating decay. I don't have a
yeah,
rating,
rating decay. You wouldn't need
but
you wouldn't
yeah,
need the
that sounds like it makes sense.
wouldn't yeah, you wouldn't need the 160 win requirement for top 3 because your rating
Right.
decay is there. It's already
We'll
there.
take
If you
care of
want to
it.
keep that rating up there, you have to keep playing. You don't have a choice. If you were to keep top 3, that would be a way to do it. If you wanted, it's still there because people will sit on their tunes that are right there. They're like 3 or 4 games away from getting gold or silver or bronze. The players are going to wait for the perfect storm to get those wins.
Yeah.
Not necessarily cheating, but the pool is small enough, and the players you get a taste of how everybody plays. If you're playing on an alt tune, which I highly recommend, is you don't always play on the tune that you want your best rating on all the time. But if you're playing on an alt tune and you're just playing to play to learn, that's fantastic. You're gonna see patterns and you're gonna see who you're gonna be good against, how the night's going. You're gonna be able to be like, all right, you know what, I'm feeling tonight.
That's
You get to
interesting.
decide when you go in. So people sit there on their tunes and then say, all right, now's my time. And they go in and people go in and get those wins, or people go in and get that rating that they want. But it's definitely something that people do. You can definitely even see who's in games, and depending on who's in the game, because of how toxic season 14 was, I know people would say, these other people are online, I'm not even going to bother to queue. And when I did that in season 9, when I got my top 3 in season 9, that was absolutely a strategy I used. I knew people were upset that I was going for a top 3. They didn't want me to get a top 3. So people would 100% be logged in, see if I was in a game, or see if I was even queued up to try to even, and they would try to force a healer game, and them and their healer would be on the same team together because they would manipulate the queue with the matchmaking and the rating. People knew how to make sure they would be together, and they would try to get wins against me. So I had to be very, very cautious at the end of season 9 of even queuing because of something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
And yeah, I don't know. You can people call me Q Dodger. Absolutely, go for it. There are things that you can't risk at that point, because a loss at that point was like a loss of like 23 rating, and a win would be maybe +7.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would lose so much, and it wouldn't even be worth it. I would literally log in and put my tune to auto run and just walk away from my computer for the afternoon. I know people would be trying to see if I was queued up, and I would just play mental games with them that way.
Yeah, sure. That's interesting. I never realized there was that much of a. I mean, that's a meta game, not
Right.
the
That's
meta of the.
yes, the strategy.
Yeah, that's interesting and tough. Um, I think I mean, what do you think if we increase the population of ranked PvPers by a whole lot, would that tend to go away, or there be less of that?
Oh, absolutely. It can and it can't, right? It depends on how many games are going on. The increase, the rating, the matchmaking system, absolutely 100% works.
Okay,
I've seen it work. The problem is the population's not there for it.
sure.
You only have 8 people in queue. You can only put 8 people in a match.
Right.
You don't. If you had 800 people in the queue, you could get the matchmaking system would work. I've seen it work with with 16 people with a high elo bracket and a low elo bracket, and the games have been fantastic for both people, for both brackets. Hey, we got good players, we got bad players, but everybody's kind of broken up and it's even.
Yeah.
But right now the population is so low that it doesn't work.
Right. Well, potentially with the start of a new season, we'll potentially pull some people back in, and the there's more content coming later in the year that'll spike things back up a little bit too. So we're sort of see where it goes. So let's wrap it up by thinking about that, by thinking about the future. We talked about more maps. I've seen from time to time the idea thrown around of, should we get back to like 8v8 ranked matches? Should we get back to like some of those objective maps? What's your view, or what's your take on that? Do you like that? Would you want to do that again, or have that be a new category, or something? What are your thoughts?
I have no idea how it would go about. Is there the ranked scene has moved away? A lot of players have gone from the game. Is that going to be? Would that be fantastic? I say go for it. If the seasons are only supposed to be 4 to 6 months, and they want to try it for a season, I say go for it. Give it a shot. I'm a guy that says go for it, but I don't know the intricacies that go with it and the full on. If we do this, then it's this, or they break this. They broke the boss issue. They thought they hot fixed it, and then what ends up happening is they broke all AOE damage.
Yeah.
So they couldn't do that. So what's going to be affected by all that, I don't know. But if we want to see 8v8 ranked again, if we want to see objective ranked, I'd be down for it. If we go along those lines, I would say, why not have 8v8 ranked alongside 4v4 ranked, where 8v8 ranked would be group ranked, and 4v4 ranked would be solo ranked.
Okay.
Completely different set of skills would be required to win both of those.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. You would need it's true, you would need a lot of players to make that kind of thing work. I remember back in the day, back more towards the original launch of the game, some of those hardcore PvP teams they would have like 8 people in a guild, and that's all they did. They PvP'd as they tried to, PvP as a group of 8 as much as they could. And there would just be some amazing gameplay that would go on. And it was so fun to be around and so fun to watch, hut ball matches where no one would die and no one, barely any damage would go out, but the coordination between, the stuns and hold and control, and then movement of the ball and the passing, and just seeing these excellent players playing against each other at the peak of objective play was really fun. But yeah, you'd need a lot of players. You'd need you'd need to figure a bunch of things out. But yeah, I like your idea of, let's give it a shot. Let's try it. Maybe that'll spice up the scene a little bit. What about any other? Do you have any other sort of like wall of crazy, insane idea that's in your back pocket that you would potentially throw in or want to add to PvP at some point?
Ugh, I don't know. I usually just play. I don't go into the creative things. I'm not super creative. I analyze and I break things down. I don't go off into my imagination. That's a big question.
Yeah.
Oh man. Everybody plays the exact same class solo queue. They give you everybody the exact same thing, and you have to win a
Yeah.
4v4 match that way.
Yeah.
That's a crazy idea.
That would
That
be
is a crazy
interesting.
idea.
So one match, everybody's an Arsenal merc.
Maybe I'd have a
Well
chance
played.
then. I could do that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of weird and wild things that could happen, but the thing that makes PvP work is consistency and having a controlled environment with set expectations so that of how things work and you can work towards it and you can work on your rank and have a controlled set of rules. um it's not really a crazy idea, but not everybody being the same class necessarily, but each of the classes and all of your armor and abilities all being set beforehand. So when you queue in or when you show up in the match, say you want to pick Arsenal Mark or whatever, it's an Arsenal Mark, and you have an armor set on, and you have an ability set, and you have you have your styles all set, and you have all your set bonuses and your tactical, and everything's all set. What that gives you, and some other MMOs do it this way, what that gives you then potentially is the opportunity for the devs to much more effectively balance, because then they could really lock down exactly what it looks like for an Arsenal Mark to go head to head with a with a Marauder at that point, because they've locked down the potential mix of what could possibly happen in terms of mixing both stats and abilities and builds and loadouts and things like that. That could be interesting. But the other side of me, and when I think about that kind of thing, is that that's not how MMOs work. And if you wanted perfectly balanced PvP, you probably wouldn't. Then it's not an M. You don't get that from an MMO. There is perfectly balanced PvP. Go play Fortnite. That's perfectly balanced. Then everybody starts the same, and it's all based on skill. Then go play League of Legends. In an MMO, it's not perfectly balanced because there's an RPG part of it where you do want to have gear matter, and you do want to have some flexibility and some weirdness in how you spec out your character, and you want some flavor to what you are versus what somebody else is, even if you're the exact same class. So I really wouldn't want that in my MMO as much, but I can see the argument. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
I absolutely love the idea of how MMOs ranked goes. I love the fact that you can be in a ranked PvP match and you can have two people be the top DPS, and you guys can still lose the match. You can do everything right.
Yep.
And still lose the match. That's something I absolutely love about ranked PvP and arenas. People would be upset with me, or people wouldn't know that, or they would know in a ranked PvP match in like say Tatooine, where I'm the first target on a Juggernaut back in season 13. My job isn't to be the top DPS. My job isn't to try to kill somebody else before I die. My job in Tatooine is to kite and stay alive as long as possible. Get my DCs up and live. If as the primary target, if I can do that and they chase me and they do everything they can, that gives my three teammates all the room that they need to get the kill.
Yeah. Right. To get one
if
kill.
I can survive,
get one, and then you've unbalanced it. You've soaked and you've opened up space. Then you've opened up opportunity, and then as soon as you get that first kill, well, then it cascades from there.
Right, and that's something that I would often look at damage taken versus damage dealt, and you actually have to hover over your death
Right.
to see how much damage you took. And if you took 1 million damage, you got to be like, listen, I took 1 million damage. You can't ask much more
Right.
of a Juggernaut than to take 1 million damage. Your health
Exactly.
pool is 280k life, and you took 5 times your health pool. You
Right.
did good. You did very good.
Exactly.
And that's important to know.
Well, I appreciate that you've soaked the damage that our podcast has dealt to you tonight.
Yes.
Kogass, this has been a great conversation. I've been curious at sort of where ranked is at and sort of how it's evolved. As we get into the 7.2 era and season 15 starts, I think we should have you back on. I'd love to hear about it, how it's evolving, what it feels like, and what you're doing in particular. The other reason we're going to have to catch up and talk is certainly Star Wars Celebration, because now I'm going to have to live vicariously through you.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm sorry. I wish you could make it.
Yeah. No, I'm extra sad. Yeah. All right. So now I'll have to cry myself to sleep on my huge pillow tonight, because I'll be missing it. But yes, thank you very much. This has been excellent. Seema, anything else to wrap us up and close us out?
No, just to echo what you said, that it was really great to hear you talk about PvP and to bring your experience. The experience you bring to the words was really, really fun to listen to. Even though I didn't have a lot of questions because it's not my bailiwick, I was really interested.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It gives us the opportunity to see what people are thinking about on the inside and what makes it interesting. And from the outside, you might just think that, oh, it's, PvP is PvP, and I queued into a PvP match, you shoot some people, and that's it. But there's a lot of the meta, the balance of the class. What am I supposed to do? What are the abilities doing? How are people treating me? What does that sort of race to the top kind of look like? And that it's fun to hear about. So we really appreciate that. All right.
Well, I really appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Excellent. No, that's great. And we're gonna have to catch up. Yeah, no, I'm really sad. We caught up in Chicago last, right? Was that last time we were hanging out? Was it Chicago or New York?
It was New York, I think. I
Yeah.
thought it was New York.
It was both, but yeah. So then I think New York.
We
was,
did
was the
both.
most recent. Maybe I
Yeah,
should
New
just
York
hop in the
was
car
a
and
few
drive
months
out
before
there without
COVID.
a ticket or without a place to stay and just crash on somebody's floor in Anaheim. That is not going to happen, but we'll have to catch up.
Sounds good.
But for now, I think we can kick our Astromech EPC 424 out on airlock to broadcast this PvP special to everybody out there. To keep from missing out, subscribe to New Overlords on YouTube and iTunes, and you can find all the links of what's next on newoverlords.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray, and I'll keep you up to date. Kogass, where can they find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/KOGASS_, or you can do a simple YouTube search. I do have a couple of YouTube videos out there. Check out what the Juggernaut's doing on there. So just KOGASS on the YouTubes. And those are pretty much my big things. I'm on Twitter as well. Same handle as the Twitch.
Excellent. And for the AIE Guild on Starforge and in all the games that we play, check out AIE-guild.org, and the Discord link is in the upper right. Jump in there, and we will get you a guild invite, and we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.